Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus from Arcade Economics here with you today on Wednesday, September 13th. Today we have a quick video, another update. I was watching some more Clif High videos yesterday. In particular, Clif had a video with a channel called the Arcane Bear, where he was talking about the cryptos, the general market, what's going on in the government, amongst other things. And a lot of the content's similar from what we've heard from Clif before. Again, before we even get started, I know there's some wide divergence on the opinions of Clif. Some people think he's a genius. Some think he's a little bit far out there. I find the things that he writes and speaks about quite fascinating, and especially to the degree that his model has really picked up some really interesting insight and been way ahead of the curve on the Bitcoin market and pricing. Now he has a lot of interesting comments in silver. His silver forecasts, as interesting as they are, have not occurred yet, which he fully acknowledges. So again, take it as you will. I know every time we do a video about Clif, people get heated in the comments, which by all means is fine. And we'd love to hear your opinion. Just, again, part of why I mention it, and, similar to any of the things that I say in the videos that we're doing here, is perhaps to maybe change the perspective instead of seeing as any one person is right or has all of the answers. There are some things Clif has been right about and had a lot of great insight, some things that he's missed, much like all of us, which is why I don't come on and do these videos, or hopefully it doesn't come across where I'm saying you should do this or you should do that, because that's certainly not the goal. But what I've always found helpful in my trading career, and really in anything we do in life, is you find the information that's out there, see who is getting things right, who makes sense, who might likely be right about things that are going to happen in the future. Certainly, I can't guarantee anything, although I look at a lot of data. I think back from past situations I've looked into, and I like to think I have some good sources of information at this point, yet there's a degree to which life happens. So take Clif's comments, or mine, or any analyst, with that in mind, and use that to add into what you already know and make the best decision for yourself. Now, with that said, basically, amongst a lot of other non-market related things that he talked about, which were pretty fascinating, the main takeaway from this last interview on the Arcane Bear was basically that he continues to see an escalation of the political events that are happening, continues to paint a picture that behind the scenes a lot of this government banking monster as we know it is continuing to crumble, and that will be reflected. He didn't get into silver and gold as much, although he was talking about the cryptos a lot, saying that his model picks up that consistently that we're still in the early stages and that there is going to be an escalation, but really next February is when he sees things really taking off. So again, main gist being that based on what Clif's model is picking up, which certainly for the cryptos has had a lot of interesting and accurate calls, that we're still very early in the game, and that perhaps from a bigger standpoint, yes, the pricing he expects to go higher, but again, does the model get everything right? That's debatable, but what's been helpful to me, and I think can be helpful to other investors, is again seeing that the infrastructure is set as people continue to transition away from the dollar, which that part certainly matches what I'm seeing, hearing, reading, and experiencing. And it was interesting the way he phrased it, because the way he put it was that the folks that, whether you call them the elites, the bankers, the government class, the guys that are running a lot of what happens in the world, according to Clif, are very clear on what's happening. They're clear that the dollar is nearing the end of its cycle, and that these guys that have a lot of wealth in this paper currency system realize we're on borrowed time, and to maintain and preserve that wealth, it's exiting the system. Where is it going? Well, a lot of them putting it into Bitcoin and the other cryptos. Certainly, maybe there's some awareness growing amongst the population, yet still, I think a very small percentage of people out there in the public that actually own these things. So, factor that in as you will. Again, there's a lot. Nobody knows the exact future, but you can see just some of these clues happening, and from that standpoint, I thought it was interesting in case you haven't had a chance to hear some of these interviews and see the way things have been developing, that certainly that's what his model is picking up, and that point that he really got at a couple times of how the people that are controlling a lot of this and have a lot of wealth, it's moving out because they realize that the clock is ticking. So certainly, if Clif is indeed right, he's saying we're set up for as wacky and wild as this year has been, certainly from the crypto standpoint, that the real action begins next February. When I match that from the other things I look at, the other people I talk to, the data points I look at within the precious metals and just geopolitical environment as a whole, I'm not sure when these things will happen, but certainly the way I look at it is this, is that it's possible, hey, maybe Clif is right or not about this, although if that were to occur, certainly the things that we're seeing now fit in with that overall picture and could be leading to a scenario like that. So again, leave your comments below. I know it can be controversial stuff, but would love to hear what you think. Maybe you've been, I know there's a lot of Clif High fans out there, so love to hear from you. And one last final note today, quite a sad note. I woke up this morning and got a message that a good friend of mine, who actually, if you've been watching the channel for a while, we had a few videos a couple months back from a fellow named Steve Cook, good friend of mine that actually helped open a gold and silver shop up in Alaska a few years ago. And unfortunately, Steve passed away yesterday. I think he was only 31, and it's been really sad news. A very good man that we bonded. Basically, we met through a friend who knew that we were both interested in precious metals, trying to add something positive to the world by seeing what's happening and letting people know what's going on. So just wanted to send my love and thoughts and prayers out to Steve's family and everybody else who got a chance to know him. And again, if you happen to see those videos, maybe you've seen Steve. And in either case, we're going to wrap up for today, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.